So there's a token called USDY, tokenized treasuries from Ondo, moving between chains on LayerZero. Standard stuff, until you look at how it gets verified, because three separate parties have to sign before that money lands. A zero-knowledge prover called Polyhedra, LayerZero itself, and the third one is Axelar, the supposed competitor. Their validators sit inside a LayerZero transfer, signing for it, and it's in LayerZero's own documentation. That one fact quietly ends the bridge war crypto Twitter has been fighting for 4 years. And I only went looking because a viewer named Nathan told me to. Nathan has asked me for Wormhole 3 times now, across 3 different videos, and the ask came with 2 things attached, a question and a thesis. Today we're doing both. No price calls, every number checked at the source, and one of those 2 has a wrinkle in it. So Wormhole didn't start inside Solana. It started with a small Berlin company called Certus1, who shipped the first version with Solana in October of 2020, just to get Ethereum tokens onto Solana. Then in August of 2021, Jump Trading bought Certus1 outright, which matters enormously about 6 months later, because on the 2nd of February 2022, somebody minted 120,000 wrapped Ether out of thin air, $320 million in one transaction. And the bug wasn't exotic cryptography. The program was checking that a signature verification had happened, using a function that doesn't verify the thing it's reading is real. A safer version of that same function was sitting right there in the library, one word different. The attacker handed the program a fake account, the program believed it, and the check that was supposed to stand in the way never ran. Jump Crypto put 120,000 of its own Ether back inside a day, so every wrapped token stayed backed. And in March of 2023, Jump went and clawed that Ether back off the attacker. But look at what got built afterward, because this is the receipt. 9 days after the hack, they opened a bug bounty. It's still live. It was updated 12 days ago, and it tops out at $1 million. And 2 safety nets went into the protocol that are running right now. The governor watches money moving in and out of every chain and delays anything that looks like an exploit in progress. The global accountant just does arithmetic. It tracks everything Wormhole has ever issued, so no chain can send out more than went in. Neither existed in February of 2022. And in November of 2023, $225 million came in at a $2.5 billion valuation, and Wormhole split out of Jump entirely into a foundation and a separate company called Wormhole Labs. Okay, this is what Nathan actually asked for. And almost every comparison online compares the wrong thing. They compare chain counts. Chain counts are marketing. The real question is who has to agree before your money moves, and what happens if they all agree to lie. Wormhole runs through 19 nodes called guardians, and a message only becomes valid when 13 of the 19 sign it. And you can go look at them. They publish a live dashboard naming every one, and their companies, not anonymous keys. Google Cloud, Figment, Chainstack, DSRV, P2P. I watched their heartbeats land seconds apart this morning. Now the honest trade-off. Those guardians have nothing staked. No slashing, no bond anyone can take away. What's at risk is their reputation and their business. And there's a sharper edge. The guardian set gets changed by a 2/3 vote of the guardians themselves. The people who sign the messages decide who gets to sign the messages. Axelar does it completely differently. It's a proof-of-stake chain in its own right, roughly 47 validators. Anyone can try to join. Votes are weighted by the square root of stake, so whales can't simply buy the result. And real money is bonded behind every one of them. So attacking Axelar costs capital, where attacking Wormhole means convincing 13 named companies to burn their own businesses on the same afternoon. Genuinely different bets, and reasonable people pick differently. Then LayerZero asks, why should we pick for you? There, the app chooses its own verifiers and how many must agree. Beautifully flexible. And it means there isn't one LayerZero security level. There are hundreds. Whatever that app chose is your floor. And everybody wants a scoreboard. I won't give you one, because those three count different things over different periods. Here's a number I pulled myself instead, twice, to be sure it wasn't drifting. 1.19 billion messages, $77.4 billion moved, all of it behind a quorum of 13. So here's Nathan's question, word for word. I know W bridges RLUSD to BlackRock. How, I'm not sure. And I have to be straight, because the premise has a wrinkle, and the wrinkle is better than the answer. Wormhole doesn't bridge Ripple's stablecoin to BlackRock's fund. Those two never touch. Two separate institutions, building separate products, independently hired the same plumber. BlackRock doesn't touch a blockchain. It hires a company called Securitize to be the transfer agent, and Securitize issues the on-chain shares. In September of 2024, Securitize picked Wormhole as its official interoperability provider for every asset it tokenizes. Not just BlackRock's fund, but Apollo's credit fund and Hamilton Lane's too. And the design is quietly clever. It doesn't put one token on every chain. It issues a separate share class of that fund on each chain, natively, and Wormhole is the rail connecting those share classes to each other. I pulled it today, $2.6 billion across 8 chains, with Ethereum, Avalanche, and Solana carrying almost all of it, and the whole thing held by 113 holders. 113. Institutional isn't a crowd, it's a Rolodex. Now the Ripple side, completely separately. Ripple picked Wormhole's native token transfer standard, and Wormhole published a diagram of it on the 4th of June. There's a home chain where RLUSD is minted, and from there it spokes out to Base, Inc., Optimism, Unichain, and the XRPL EVM sidechain. And every arrow carries the same label, same RLUSD, new chain. Not a wrapped copy, not an IOU issued by a bridge. The real thing, issued natively, with Ripple keeping control of issuance. So the answer to Nathan is 2 roofs, 1 plumber, and 1 honest limit. The BlackRock announcements never actually use the phrase native token transfers. Only Ripple's do. So I won't tell you both run the identical product because I can't show you that. And I couldn't find published documentation on what happens if you hold that fund on a chain that isn't its home chain and you want cash back. Maybe it's routine, but I couldn't source it, so I won't pretend. Now the part I always check, because it tells you who really holds the wheel. There's a W token and a governance system called MultiGov, and I opened the actual governance page today rather than reading somebody's summary. 6 proposals exist, total, in its entire history. 3 were launch tests, 3 were real. A code of conduct, a ratification of the governance process itself, and a grants program, all 3 executed. And when they did vote, people genuinely showed up. 433 million votes in favor of the first one, against about 58,000 opposed, across roughly 3,500 addresses. That's not a rubber stamp, that's a real turnout. The catch is the dates. 2 executed in May of 2025, the 3rd in June, and nothing since. At the top of that page today sits a banner, and I'll quote it exactly. This DAO is archived, data may be stale, and governance actions are disabled. Now, it would be easy to make that sound like a scandal, and I don't think it is one. The platform hosting that page just rebranded, from Tally to Cactus, so part of that banner is the platform's story rather than Wormhole's. I don't know why it says archived, and I won't guess on camera. What is checkable is their own forum, where the newest thread of any kind is from the 18th of March this year. And here's the structural point that actually matters. The W token does not economically secure the guardians. No bonding, no slashing tied to it. And I checked that by absence across 3 different sets of Wormhole's own documentation. token holders were never choosing who signs your transfers. The guardians choose that among themselves. And when Wormhole overhauled its own token economics last September, adding a reserve funded by protocol revenue that arrived as a foundation announcement, not a vote. So let me land it fairly. This isn't a project pretending to be decentralized. It's been opened that its security model is a named, reputable operator set, which is how a lot of serious financial infrastructure already works. It just means the honest sentence is that you're trusting 19 companies, not a token. So back to Nathan's thesis, because Nathan wrote the most useful sentence anybody's left on this channel this month. People aren't understanding that most of this space is complementary to one another, not direct competition. And I went looking for a way to test that, rather than just agree with it. Which brings us back to that token from the top. Ondo USDY runs on LayerZero's token standard. But the security stack it chose isn't one verifier, it's three at once. And LayerZero's own blog calls it multi-message aggregation. A zero-knowledge prover, LayerZero itself, and Axelar. So Axelar's validators, the supposed rival, have to sign before that transfer completes. Not a partnership announcement, not a press release handshake. Axelar is load-bearing inside a LayerZero transaction. And it isn't a one-off. A stablecoin protocol called M0 supports Wormhole standard and LayerZero's side by side. So Nathan's read holds up. And now the footnote, because I won't hand you a clean story that isn't true. In August of 2025, these two absolutely did go to war, just not over messages. LayerZero bid $110 million to buy a protocol called Stargate, and the Wormhole Foundation walked in with $120 million in cash to take it away. So they compete for assets and teams and deals. They just don't compete for your transfer, because underneath, they're increasingly checking each other's work. And two corrections, because both are circulating right now, and both fall apart when you check. There's a claim going around that Wormhole had a critical protocol failure on the 17th of July. I opened the actual commit from that date. It's a routine improvement to the accountant's audit logic. No advisory, no incident report, nothing. And people keep calling Wormhole's zero-knowledge verification a new 2026 thing. It shipped in August of 2025, built with Boundless on risk zero, and it's opt-in, not the default. What genuinely shipped this year is quieter. A new relaying system called Executor in March, a supported network refresh in April, which retired Scroll, RLUSD going multi-chain on the 4th of June, and the original portal bridge finally sunsetted 10 days after that, with nothing on their blog since, which I'll just say plainly rather than dress up. So where does that leave us? If you came for a winner, I don't have one. And anybody who does is selling something. What I have is a better question, and it's the one Nathan was circling the whole time. Don't ask how many chains it connects. Ask who has to agree before your money moves, and what those people lose if they lie. For Wormhole, that's 19 named companies and a quorum of 13, with reputation on the line instead of stake. For Axelar, 47 validators with real money bonded. For LayerZero, whoever that app hired. 3 answers to one question. And all 3 are still standing because the market wants all 3. And here's what you can do with that today, without spending a dollar. Wormhole publishes that live dashboard with all 19 guardians named, so go look at the people you'd be trusting. Their Explorer breaks volume out by product, so you never have to take a marketing number on faith. Their forum takes posts from anybody, token or no token. And if you're technical, this one's real money. The bug bounty is live, updated 12 days ago, and a critical finding pays up to $1 million. That door is genuinely open. A protocol that lost $320 million in 2022 got its arithmetic checked, got a rate limiter, got a permanent bounty, and now quietly carries BlackRock's fund and Ripple's dollar across more than a dozen chains between them. Nobody wrote a headline about that redemption arc. It happened one commit at a time. So Nathan, you asked 3 times across 3 videos, and you never once got snippy about it. You just kept handing me better questions. This one's yours. The comparison is done, and your complementary, not competition line turned out to be provable, which is a much better outcome than me just agreeing with you. Thank you for keeping me honest. If this is your first Wormhole video, watch the 101 first. It's linked below, and it covers the native token transfer standard properly, which I skipped past today on purpose. The full written breakdown with every source is in the description, along with a newsletter link. And tell me what to dig into next in the comments, because this whole video exists because one person kept asking. See you in the next one.